see ourselves on telly as well?
Oh, hope not.
No, I was going to say, hope not. Yeah. It will be all just from neck down. We can see your once a month.
Is it going to end up on the TV?
This? No.
Oh, okay.
Freya.
Let's not too close. Is it live? Is it on now?
Yep.
Okay.
I've deliberately left space on the paper for if you want to fill in any other words that we talk about or anything today that you want to go over.
Hi Anna, welcome.
Got a blank one too?
Yeah, there's a black one in the back.
Must be for Alex, eh?
Gosh, there's all these people joining, Lizzie.
Oh, is it?
Did you say hello to everyone?
Oh, okay, is that alright to see? Yes.
Perfect.
Okay, cool. I'm going to just stand here, I think. Okay, can you ask them if they can hear me? Because I've put it onto this, but I don't want it in my ears. So, can they hear me? Can you hear me? Hopefully, someone will answer in a minute.
Someone on camera?
Thumbs up if you can hear me.
I think I have to add people in.
No. There you go.
Okay.
If it says that people are viewing it.
William Duffield.
Yeah.
Linda Peters.
Yeah.
It says add. Allow viewers to send you a request to join the broadcast.
No.
Okay.
That brings them in as a host as well.
Oh.
We don't want to do that. We just want to let it roll. And if anyone's commenting to say if they can hear or not.
Can you please do a thumbs up if you can hear Lizzie, please?
Can you hear me? I should have tested that beforehand. I'll put it on. Can you hear me? Stop, what are you pushing?
I'm trying to read the message.
Wait, no.
So those people are joining.
Yep.
Keep going up.
I don't know what I'm looking at. I don't know anything about it.
It's okay.
If we just unclear the.
You good at technology?
Oh, okay.
Please speak loudly. Okay. 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 Can you hear me now? I'm not sure. Loud and clear.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Is it loud enough? Okay. Now it's you put that back where it was. Okay, so William, can you hear me when I'm over here now? Because I've just disconnected the earpiece. So let me know if you can still hear me.
Loud and clear.
It should just the comment should just roll up now. Yeah. Okay. Right, so the terms on the page. We won't spend too much time on them. Is there any questions around any of the words that are on there already? I've left space for you to add new words on, and if there's something that I say that you don't understand, if you write the word on there, then I'll circle back to explaining it. There'll be time for questions at the end. So here's the timetable for today, which we're a little bit behind, but we will catch up. So there isn't. So we're going to go over.
Not clear.
Okay.
Emma. It might be the PowerPoint, or was it?
Sorry, guys. I'll just connect to that, not in here. Okay, we'll try that now. I'm sorry, if it's not clear, if you can't hear me, then we'll just have to not do it this way, and we'll have to stop doing the live. But if that is let me know if that's any better for anyone that's listening. If you can write in the comments if you can hear or not, because I can't spend too much more time. Is it? Has anyone said anything?
William says yes, good.
Okay, cool. Okay, so the first topic for today, because I can't read anything, is the terminology. So that's what we're going over. And then the next thing we'll talk about is leadership. So why would leadership be important in a dog training thing? Why would leadership be something that we need to consider? Anyone have any suggestions?
Gives a structure.
Okay. Good. Yes. A lot of the so talking in the terms of dog training, there's a lot of people that consider having to be a pack leader, and you'll see it a lot of time in pack walks and things like that. And there's a few trainers that advocate being a strong leader and being able to command the situation, and most of it is based off studies that were done on wolf packs. The man who wrote who did the initial study on wolf packs, whose name is escaping me, it was a German study, and he wrote this study about how wolves have one dominant leader, and they are, and then everyone follows suit. And then about 10 years, that was in the 70s, and about 10 years later, he wrote an apology for his assignment and said that it was flawed. And he had, the reason that he decided his study was flawed was because the wolves they studied were a group of adolescent males that had been gathered from around the world and put in a zoo. So they were all the same sex and they weren't in their natural environment. So when he went and studied wolves in the wild, he found out that they live as a hierarchy, like a family. They have a mother and father that have equal share of the duties. The next generation of daughters stay at home and they bring in husbands, sons, and they form the basis of the pack. So then they have babies. So that's how a pack will keep its sizes. The females stay where they are pretty much, and the males go somewhere else to start their own pack, or join another one. So depending on how they find each other is where they stand in the order of things. And then the father, the male wolf, he's responsible for hunting and finding food and protection, and the females are in charge of nurturing and development and skill building and keeping the pack together and happy. So they have equal jobs. It's not about being a boss, because they just work as a team. And so the next generation will raise the pups as a group, until the males are ready to go and stay. So that's how they live in the wild. So it sort of debunked the theory that a lot of people grabbed and ran with, because in any situation, if you are dominant and forceful, you are abided by, as some of you know. So what happens is you end up under control. So it's very easy to rule by fear, and that's what a lot of the training is. So it comes under the aversive, and that's one of the terms that's written there, is to, what is aversive on there?
Causing dislike or disinclination.
Yeah, so they make something uncomfortable, so you don't want to do it anymore, and that's how they keep control. If those of you that have got children or have children, you'll realise that if you keep them under your thumb and don't let them make any decisions and tell them exactly what they've got to do, there's generally a fairly big revolution about the 14 to 20, somewhere in there, they leave, and then it's up to how things go, whether they come back or not, and they can buck against the pressure. And this is the thing with that aversive training or pressure-based training, is that unless you up the pressure, you'll get to a point where you can't put any more pressure on reasonably, and there'll be some way around it. You have to follow through with your threats, and in some circumstances you just can't, they won't be able to, they just revolt against it. I'd like to think, if you think of some of the jobs you've had and some of the bosses you've had, if you had leaders that were like that were dictators, that told you what you had to do when you had to do it, was it a pleasant environment to stay in?
No?
Okay. Was it a pleasant environment to work in? Have any of you had bosses like that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What did you do about it?
Leave.
Yeah. And that's the key. If you've got someone who's riding you, you'll put up with it for so long, and then you'll just find a way out. And so this is what dogs do as well. One of the theory, so this is a theory that I've come up with, is with the theory of evolution. Each generation of humans has actually got the capability of having 3 or 4 generations of dogs. So I am of the opinion that dogs are evolving quicker than we are, and and they definitely are, because we are manufacturing what we want from them to be. But what the other bit that's evolving is their tolerance for bullshit. They won't, dogs today versus the dogs that I had as a child will not give in to the pressure and be happy with it as easily. they don't accept that as a way of leadership very much now. I think their intelligence is developing past that, and they don't bow down to the pressure as easily as they used to.
She stopped. She stopped.
Good girl, Freya, you alright? You're a good girl, be quiet. Yeah, I know that dog is in a cage and nothing bad can happen to it. And so she's just trying to get our attention.
It's calling you.
Yeah.
And you can tell because she's doing one bark and then she's
Just
listening.
waiting.
And now she's waiting to stop for a little while, so she'll think that she should be talked to now. So this is a graph that I found online. Is by Indeed Career things. Now, if you have a look on the next page, it's got a list of qualities. Out of the 6 groups, pick which one you identify with the most, and we'll go over which. Can you read that all right? Yeah. We'll go over which one you think might be the best to suit you.
It is, isn't it?
All right. So, has anyone got an idea of which group they are
No. I could be a little bit of everything.
in? So, which one are you more of? So, this isn't. So, what I would like is for us to work out what kind of leader we are at the moment and where we would like to end up. I would think that the reason that you think that that you identify with lots of them is that potentially you may not be looking at the whole picture of both sides of your coin. And if we can be honest with ourselves and own all of something, then we can start to change parts of it if we need to. It's not saying that you might need to, you know, but if you can look at the whole picture of something. So
I think I'm becoming the first one, supportive. I think I'm becoming that.
okay,
I think.
but what are you at the moment?
Oh God.
I'm sorry, it's gone a bit weird. The lines have crossed over each other. Is there any?
I'm self-aware that I don't always do the right thing.
Just through a process of elimination.
Yes. Yeah.
Probably think I'm the middle bottom.
Middle
I
bottom.
have mutual respect
Okay.
between.
Very good.
Because I can work out other things I'm not in the others.
Yeah.
And maybe a little bit closer to the first one and the supportive one, the one at the top left.
Yeah, I could be a little bit of that as well.
Yeah.
Middle bottom.
Yeah, middle bottom, possibly the bottom right.
Okay. Yeah. So this is where the acceptance. There's no right or wrong in particular. It is just about being honest with who you are, and then you can work through So these are all leadership types. There are good and bad on every type. It's up to you to moderate which you are. What traits you're conveying out of them. And there's absolutely nothing to say that you can't change to a different one. So, Andrea, have you got
I think I'm probably the middle top.
middle top?
persistent bold.
Okay.
I
That's
don't
cool.
like some of those things, but I think I probably am
So we've
being
got,
real.
this is 1, 2, and I think that's 8. So if we go back to on my arrow on here, so the first square, so the top middle, that was you?
Oh, was it?
Was that
I
what
was
you
the
said?
top left.
I was top middle.
You were
You were
top
top
middle.
middle.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So top middle is 2, so that's a visionary leader. And the bottom, modern technology, we can go back here. So, Andrea, you were the top middle.
Well, I think so.
Yeah, which one were you doing? Bottom middle.
No, I think I was the top,
Top.
left.
Top left.
Yeah.
That
it's
one.
supportive.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And you were bottom middle
Bottom middle.
and bottom right. Yeah. So, bottom middle. So, Donna, you were 1.
Yep.
Andrea is 2.
Yep.
Cherie is 8. And Susan is 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
This is just one
Yeah.
one wheel, one opinion. Looking into other information on leadership, the reason that thing is the more you can identify things in you
Yeah.
that are good and bad, and I've got the link to this page because it's got a blurb on each of them, so I'll send you the link, and they have all of them have good and bad
Mm.
qualities.
Mm.
And so there is, and they all fit different situations better. So I aspire to be a 1, but I may be a 8. What's that?
Transformation.
Yeah, so I'm a 8 heading for a 1. But I was a 10. It's a 10, gone to an 8, heading to a 1. So it's fluid. Everything is fluid. You are your last decision. So if you that was quite inspiring. You are your last decision. And my favourite Dr. Phil quote is past behaviour dictates future behaviour. This is the start of a process though, and this is something that we've done with Fee and that we'll do with Molly and any dog that comes. So like your dog was 3 months old when it came, it's a little bit different, but like Fee was 18 months when I started training with her. So I said to Andrea, you've got 18 months before you can, before you could say how much improvement you made. So you've had Molly a year
Yes.
out of 5 years
Yes.
of age. So she's, how old is she? 4.
She's 5 now.
She's 5 now.
Yeah.
So you've potentially got to rewrite
Yeah.
4 years of past behaviour.
Mm.
So when she's 8, if you did nothing about it, if you just got your dog and then had your dog, you'd need 4 years to be the past, and to be the past behaviour. So by turning it around now and working on things, you could shorten that 4 years down to something a bit more reasonable. So we said Fee was 18 months, but it probably took a year. It didn't take the whole
Yeah.
18 months, and it compounds. So when you're trying to rewrite a problem, it's like exponential or something. It goes up quicker at the end. Once you've got the base knowledge, it goes up. It's not just a constant growth, but it can definitely be. So progress. What I'm saying is that it could go up like that, as opposed to this, but it will probably look more like this. So that's your 3 options. If you do nothing about it, it will just stay the same or get worse, depending on how the behaviour was put in place to start with. Are there any comments on that?
No.
Anyone saying they can't hear or can hear or?
No.
Okay. It is what it is. Yeah. So this is what we're up to. So with leadership, I need to be a one to get my message across to you guys. A lot of the time with the old trainers you're looking at, we're in team, and that kind of leadership is the kind that people revolt from. Yeah. If you can't follow through on your threats, so the reason it works with young dogs to start with is because you can scare them that much at the start that they'll never question you. But if you get a dog in that's older and it's already a bit defiant or something like that, then you're going to have to work twice as hard to break it. And once you've broken something, it's never the same. So whatever you saw in it to start with may not be, you might have ended up not getting what you wanted out of it. Any comments?
Just about having the handouts posted later.
Cool, so at least I can hear. Yeah, so any other questions on leadership? So the reason I've put it in there as being a competent leader is that hopefully you can establish your own knowledge in this field to be able to convey what you want to your dog. Being mindful of how you're being perceived is important so that you don't end up being something that they would rather avoid. You can become aversive yourself, so trying not to be avoidable. Don't be avoidable. Don't make yourself avoidable.
Gay has just made a statement about, she said, please read this. Before you get a puppy or adopt a dog, and then think long and hard about how you will adjust your life to include your new addition. And then it says see more, but I can't get the see more to go. Is that her there? Oh. So the screen jumps. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So just talking about getting a puppy.
Right.
Adopting.
So if we when you go back onto Facebook, you've got to look through the line and see what the point was. I don't know how you can hold them back into the right place.
No.
You could probably go on your phone,
Oh.
maybe, but mute it, or it'll play back the noise. Yeah. Any other thing? We won't. It's sort of an internal reflection thing. I don't want anyone to feel bad, but and that's the thing. I don't want you to feel you're not doing anything wrong. You just got to be aware of what you are doing, and hopefully that will help a little bit. And then we're just going to lurch straight into these 2 different types of training. So, luring. I've been told to tell. This is what I want. Okay, so lure training is shunned a little bit as a lesser form of training. It's another form of training. Lure training fits into a classical conditioning with a bit of a operant flair on it. Okay? So classical conditioning on there is to pair of stimuli with a. I wish I could remember what I've written there. Right. Oh look.
2 stimuli linked together to produce a new learned response.
Yeah. So so this is what you're doing. You're linking the cue to the thing. So most of what we do is classical. It comes into the realm of operant conditioning when we add reinforcement or punishment. So it's conditioning is the main title behind them. So we'll go into that a little bit later. lure training. I've broken it down into 3 different phases there. So in learning, that's the procedure to follow, and then you'll notice that each way down you cut out a couple of the steps. And so the thing that gets lost with lure training is people think that they're always going to have to have a treat in their hand, and this is why it's considered the lesser cousin. If it's done correctly, the lure part of it should be phased out in about the 2nd or 3rd repetition. This is where it comes in as a really useful basic form of training if you don't linger too long on the phases. So I find it quite good for close things like sit and down and heel position and different things like that is what I use lure training. I'm definitely not adverse to it. I think that it's useful. Some people would prefer to go straight to a shaping operant conditioning and not do lure training. I think in New Zealand what's happened is the biggest fault with lure training is people feeding the lure. You don't feed the lure. So I've put up here lures in one hand, rewards in the other. It's not the lure. This is the bit that I learnt wrong, and I taught wrong for a long time, and now we are all trying to rewrite what we did. So I'm Donna, do you want to go out and take Freya to the loo?
Yes.
Just get her wee out there. She's been very good at quiet. And then bring her in. Have you got your rewards in something?
Yep, I have.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes,
Just
you
going
can.
back, you're talking
Absolutely.
about, like you were talking about wolves when they were
Yeah.
in the packs, and that the females did one thing and the male did that.
Yeah.
Do male and female dogs need different behaviour training? Do you expect different behaviours from them because of their sex?
So I strongly believe that each there are different jobs in the pack. There are mothers, there's hunters, there's seekers, there's subordinates. There's all those different parts in a pack. So males generally will have a different drive. I find the drive slightly different. But if you've got like a female dog on its own or a male dog on its own, I think they come into just the dog category.
Okay.
If like Donna has an adult male and an adult female, and then got a female puppy. So she's quite on the track of having a proper pack, and her dogs have taken on those roles. Quite like Heatley sits around watching things and barking at problems. Rhett is out hunting, monitoring. She's the one that tells Puppy to lie down, and Freya's just living the life of Riley within the realms of those two. She had one instance where Rhett dealt to it, but after that she didn't need to bother anymore. So you can bring your noise box.
My noise box is
By the rubbish bin door.
want to hold it? Freya, sit. Good girl.
So this is the English pointer. That is not. It's stuck in it. Yes. Okay, so this is the noise box that we work on, and that so because she's a bit anxious about the environment, we give her this to help get her body into a digestive state, and then she'll be able to go to work a lot quicker. So by spending this minute or two giving her time, then in a minute I'll get her up and I'm going to demonstrate this part of luring. So we want to ask, so you can say what you're going to get her to do whilst luring it, yep. And then you're going to get the response, you're going to mark it and then reward it. So
She's never been fed before.
Obviously.
she's done it right. Okay, so
Oh, great. Leave.
Yeah. So this will be my lure, and you can see that I'm using it to lure her because she's following it around. So she's still too elevated to concentrate on me. So in a learning situation, there's not much point in persisting. And see, so now she's come to me this time. Really good, girl. So I'm luring it. So I'm going to say, no, swap hands. So this is my lure because it makes more sense. I'm going to say down. Yes. And give her the reward. But she doesn't need to stay there because I haven't asked her to stay there. So then I'll do it again. And I've got more rewards this time. Yeah. So lure. Freya. 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 Good girl. Down. Yes. Good girl. Okay. Now I've taken the lure out of his hand now. Okay. Down. Yes. And then I give her the reward. So does that make sense? And so the lure, the food is already out of here. So, and the verbal cue is coming on as well as a hand signal for it. Ready? Down. Yes. It doesn't matter that she sat because I marked when she was lying down with the marker word. So what we have taught them, and Fee is really good at this, is she was starting to get excited about it again. Go back to the box, re-establish the digestive tract of things, and then come back to work. This is completely foreign to her. She doesn't like being on show as much as she pretends. She likes looking at herself in the
She
mirror.
loves to look at herself.
Yeah. Down. Yes. So she does know down, but she hasn't done down in here with people watching. So that's another thing about training. That's the part we'll go over in a minute, is going back to proofing something. At the moment,
Right,
she is
leave.
generalising in that she does down wherever we say it. So, Freya,
Leave.
Freya, Freya, down. Yes. Yeah. So that was done just off both. So, okay. Right. Freya, down. Freya, down. Yeah. Down. Yes.
Gorgeous.
So, but she's very elevated at the moment. Okay. So that was an example of, was that right? An example of Laura?
Yes.
Very
definitely,
helpful.
yes.
Because this is the thing.
Right.
As I said, learning is evolution, and I was doing it wrong for a million years. When I first started teaching people to do this, okay, so now I'm going to tell you how to do it wrong. And then soon I'll give you a test and you can tell me which is right and which is wrong. Okay. Down,
Wrong.
because then what will happen is down, yes. Yeah. So I had no, but because she knows down. So what's something she doesn't know yet?
Oh, she just knows everything.
So, yes, it's not happening.
I don't know. She knows sit, down, stand, spin.
She knows left and right sides.
Yeah, yeah.
Work on this.
not as much.
What
Yeah,
do you pick?
I do heel work. Yeah, so heel work on the right side. Yeah.
So that's any questions about that? Yeah, pick on here. Okay. Freya. Luring. She's like, no, I know that one. I will put this one. Okay. Here. That's it. You go right behind it. Good. So, what did I do wrong there?
You gave her the food in the luring and
What else did I do wrong? And yeah,
Give them instruction.
yep, I didn't tell her what I wanted.
oh,
And one other thing that I know, there's probably lots of, but there was one other thing I know.
oh, you have to do it again, yeah.
Freya! Good.
You didn't say yes.
I changed the word.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, if you've loaded yes to mean the right thing, and then you don't say it, it's not going to end the world if you haven't got to mark the word. But it makes things a lot quicker if you have got to mark the word. Okay. So, we could be a little bit worried that she's using that as an alternative to work. Freya! Yeah. Close. Freya. Close. Close. What else?
Leave.
What else? What else?
That's what else.
Yeah.
Freya. Close. Close. Back. 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 Close. Front. Yes. Good. So she can still work even though that's there.
A comment from the audience.
Yes.
Also, I think it's a change that you're saying her name a lot.
And so that forms into the begging category, trying to get her attention. And also something to be avoided too much because you become white noise. I like to liken it to, is you end up being white noise and not, then her name will have no meaning. So we've gone over 5. Okay, so if I break Donna's dog just a little bit more. So down, down, down. Yes. And go to the tree. Donna's like, that's my dog here.
She's doing really well.
Yeah. Right. Down. Stand. Up. What is stand?
Stand.
Right, stand. Good girl. I'm going to fit her the lower again. So you get lots of examples of bad training. So, yeah. You're still wet from your bath. Your bird bath. Did you have a bird bath?
I rolled in a dead bird. I had to have a bath.
Technically it's a bird bath.
Brown.
So that's luring. Right, Freya, back in your kennel.
Yeah, I'll take that. Right.
Bye bye, good girl.
Good girl.
She will be. You too could have this dog. Okay. Whose comment was that about the
Anna?
okay.
Anna?
And a root beer?
Yes.
Okay. So then shaping the ultimate brain game, and it could also be brain drain. This is the thing that you do to get your dog to think and to use lots of mental energy and to make them tired. This is operant conditioning.
this is that you have to have a reinforcement or a punishment to do shaping training. So actually I will get on the handout I've outlined the bit about positive and negative. So here's your phone. Can you take a photo? No, we don't need a photo of that. Do we need a photo? Oh no, it's on the video. Right, don't need that. So the person who helped put the operant conditioning quadranty thing together and marketed it a lot was Ian Dunbar. You might be sure he's definitely a doctor, he's a vet. So Dr. Ian Dunbar helped normalise, I don't think, he didn't come up with it, I think Skinner came up with the operant conditioning. But you have positive and negative, and on this side, it's always done every different way. You have punishment and reinforce.
Alicia, a question just before you go on, which relates, I think, from Gay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just read it on my phone. Why do we need a punishment for shaping behaviour? Or can you clarify what you meant, or did I mishear?
Punishment for shaping.
Yep. Why do you need a punishment for shaping behaviour? Or can you clarify, did I mishear?
I think you might have misheard. I don't think there's a punishment for it. Is there?
It says an operant conditioning, the
An
process
operant.
of learning through
Yeah.
reinforcement and
So-
punishment.
Was that for shaping, did you say?
Or that's what
It was for
operant-
shaping, was what you
Shaping behaviour.
Yeah, okay. So in shaping you can have a punishment, yes. Yeah, we'll go over that right now. So a punishment is purely written down as make something less likely. And this a reinforcement makes something more likely. Positive is add and negative is take away. So there's when I watched a lecture by Ian Dunbar and he said people have put too much emotion into this. They consider punishment, to be severe, and they that negative is also really bad, and it's not. This is a quadrant to be balanced. The reason I won't put that I'm a positive only trainer or something like that, which I like to consider myself a positive trainer, in that I'd like to move forward. I like to make things. My version of positive is that I want to make the behaviours I want more likely. So that's where I come in with positive. I want to add good behaviour. I want to make things a happy experience. Anytime you are reinforcing a behaviour positively by giving a dog a treat, you are also punishing them by not, you're also doing it negatively if you're not giving them a treat for something that they're doing. So as much as you're reinforcing something with food, anytime that they haven't got it right and you don't give them a treat, it's balance. You're also using a form of punishment because you're not giving them the treat. You're making the other behaviour less likely at the same time, which a lot of people may not agree with. So in that respect, that's why there's a punishment on this scale, is because this is science, not as much psychology is based on it, but it's not emotive. It's a scientific thing that geeks would use, and it got into the public water supply. So I don't know, hopefully that explains it. So right then we were using positive reinforcement because we were adding a trait to the behaviour to make it more likely. And this is different to this is the reward that I was giving, not the lure that we had. So that's where there's a little bit of operant conditioning in most things if you're reinforcing them with a reward. Okay, so we won't spend too much longer on this. So what I'm going to do is I'll get one of my dogs in and do a demonstration of shaping, and then we'll
If when you feed the lure, what was the negative outcome if you give the lure instead of the food? Yeah.
oh, straight to the this is Bonnie. Bonnie. So Bonnie is a what breed do you think Bonnie is? David. Dog breed. So this is another rescue. We know both of her parents because the people that bred them were so excited of their thing that they had done. Bonnie's mother is a wire-haired Jack Russell, and her father is a bearded collie.
Oh, yeah.
So her mum was about 7 inches tall and her father was 8 inches high. Right, now, this will be tricky for Bonnie. Bonnie knows to put her back feet on something, but I will try and shape her to put a front foot on it. So, she sees I've got her roots. Yes. Oh, that was good quick. Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. What else? Yes. Yes. What else?
Do you want me to take that?
What else? The other one is for her to lie down on it, like she did when it was climbing, but now I've moved it. So now I've just got so as much as we're doing shaping, because so this is the thing, I planned that it might take me ages because I thought she was going to put her back feet on it. The thing with shaping is as much as you make a plan, it might not happen. So you make that's why I've written here make an initial plan. And so my initial plan was to put that down and for her to get it wrong. And so it's taken a bit, so I have diversified it by making it that I want her to lie on it. So that's what I'm trying to do. The thing that so what I'm doing is when she offers me something on a small step towards what I want, I mark it with yes, and then I get the treat out and give it to her. She also knows what we were working on the other day. She knows that okay is a release word or something. So I'm also, so she's not going to move until I say okay in general. Right, Bonnie. Yes. What are you doing? Yes. So she knows to do it right in front of me. Okay. And she knows that okay means move. What else? What else? What else did you do? So I've taught my dogs that what else. This is why I say to you to say what else instead of repeating the task so that she'll start thinking about it. Now I'm going to move her slightly because she will stay there because she's wondering if it's the O word. Okay. What else? Yeah. What else? What else? Yes.
Good girl.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Okay, so now I could start having this as this time when she does it. So I will always give them a minute. So how she barked at me, that was her telling me, that's how she tells me she's frustrated. She's getting frustrated. She will bark at me. So to keep her down below being frustrated, I'll give her a minute. For instance, smack you down. Good girl. What else? What else you do? Mark. Okay. What else? What else? Mark. Mark. Okay. Mark. Girl, so you know that she knows,
Brilliant.
definitely knows what I want. So now, Mark. What else? Yes. Mark. Yes. Okay. Good girl. Gets it. Good dog. Good dog. Good learning dog. Yeah. Good dog. Okay, so that's an important thing about shaping is that while I had a thing here and I was doing that, as soon as I finished, I took it away. That was a very long shaping session to start with, but there was quite a high thing of treats coming along. Yeah. Okay, so any questions about that? Mindful? Any questions?
You were going to ask about
What's the isn't it wrong with eating from one lure?
Oh, yes, but going back to that lure thing,
Yeah.
when you give them the lure.
Oh yeah, if you feed them the lure,
What's the negative thing about?
Yeah.
Why do you want to?
have it separate.
Yes.
Okay. If you feed the lure, then they might in the thing of conditioning, of classical conditioning, they're factoring in a whole lot of parts to make it what it is.
Yeah.
So they might factor in that you have to have the treat in your hand, like it's like following the money.
Yeah.
And they're going to get the money because it was there,
Yeah.
and it'll take longer for them to realise that they do it anyway. Yeah, it takes having to have food out quicker. Yeah. Yeah. It just means that you can progress a bit quicker to not having food. And so a lot of the New Zealand training, a lot of the training that I've had from New Zealand and dog clubs and people, we have always fed the lure. You've lured them into a heel position and then you've fed the lure.
Yeah.
And this is what, morning. So you lure. Yes. And then the problem with that is then when you go to do obedience, if you haven't got food in that hand, so then you know, if you've got this and you go walking, they're concentrating on the food because they know they're going to get the food. Yeah. If you're walking along, so we'll see how this goes. If you're walking along without it, they drift off because there's nothing in there. If they think that's what, that's a very good example. Think about it. Oh, you're not paying attention to the food. So if I had lured her in there with that, and then yes, and then I can give her the food for being in the right place.
Can you also use it that you've got the lure and then the reward can be a non-food treat?
It can be, yeah, absolutely.
For
So
when you're in a situation where you've got no food treat.
and so we'll go on to rewards after my tea, but I think anyone's good.
There was one comment to add, I think, that I didn't pick up from Gay earlier, that says, I tend to think if you have a clear reward marker system that your dog understands and knows what to expect, that you can reward from the lure hand. What I perceive as a problem is that handlers tend to get into the habit of using the lure as a bribe to get their behaviour. It's a crutch we all fall into, and you've just demonstrated that perfectly, Lizzie. Nice.
Yeah. So Gay's a very good dog trainer. She teaches nose work and lots of wonderful things. She's got really good dogs. She's got, so as much as we say yes, that's what I want to give a treat. She's got a few variations that she's conditioned. So she says slow, I think, and slow means that the treat's coming to the dog. They're not meant to break what they're doing. There's a treat coming. It's but she'll say yes if they can stop what they're doing and come and get a treat. So she's got a few different reward markers as well. So with her dogs having such a brilliant understanding of all these different things, then she can feed the lure because it's a little bit less of a thing. But it does very easily become a bribe. So in me simplifying it for me as well as anything, that's why I pretty much only have yes. I tell them that I use good. I say good if it's something I want them to keep doing, but I'm not going to treat them now. So I've got a midway marker, which there's also questions about doing that as well. So I just kind of, the less words the better in my mind, because the less I have to remember, especially at the moment, the better, because I'm on too much medication. So if you did good, you did good, right? Okay. So the last thing that we had on the time thing was a little test, but we'll do that in the next session. So we're going to have a break for coffee.
Are we finishing the live and we'll tell people when we're back?
So what we'll do is we'll end this live, and in probably quarter of an hour we'll turn it back on again on another live. It'll be part 2 for the next bit of this session. So feel free to join us then.
See ya.